I'll tell you, Larry, as I'm sitting around looking at the box score, looking for, I don't know, absurdities would be the wrong word, but just looking for points that are like, oh, well, how does that make sense? How does that make sense? Say that out loud. How does that make sense? The 49ers scored 35 points without a Deebo Samuel reception, and George Kittle had one catch.
Amazing.
That means things are going great. And that means Christian McCaffrey right now, if we ended the NFL season after 4 weeks for whatever natural event caused that to happen, Christian McCaffrey is the MVP of this league. He's not the offensive, most valuable offensive player of the year. No, he is the MVP of this league. And it is time for us, Larry. I want to spend at least the next 20 minutes basking in Christian McCaffrey. While, again, some content creators were counting joint practice interceptions, I was saying, McCaffrey's going to have a monster year, an absolute monster year this year. And everything that I hoped would happen in the offseason, a full offseason digesting Kyle's playbook, a full offseason just getting himself in a spectacular shape. And you even heard Fred Warner brought it up. He is running with a level of purpose and anger that I don't think I've seen even in last year's impressive debut. Christian McCaffrey has a stiff arm for everybody in this league. He's probably stiff arming water boys on the sideline, Larry. Christian McCaffrey is angry with the football, and he plays violently. When you hear a football player playing violent, you normally associate that with someone on the line of scrimmage or a linebacker or a defensive player. He runs violently. He is initiating contact. He is not ducking anyone, anytime, anywhere. He never just goes out of bounds. He is fighting for everything, and he's stiff-arming dudes into the ground. Christian McCaffrey is not some scat finesse back who can also play the slot. His wallet is the one that says bad motherfucker on it. Right at the end of Pulp Fiction. That's his wallet, man. He is a bad man.
Oh, there's no doubt.
He's no further away from being one of the 5 best players in this league, Larry. He's one of the 5 best players in this league. He's on the same list with Patrick Mahomes. Everyone you think is on that one line, McCaffrey's up there with him.
He's a blue chip guy. 4.4 speed, 1.52 10-yard split, which by the way is only slightly faster than Brock, if you can believe that. 37.5-inch vertical. These were his numbers coming out, and this guy was incredible. Absolutely incredible at Stanford. Once again, what's Brock Purdy? He's the son of a pro athlete. What's Christian McCaffrey? He's the son of Easy Ed McCaffrey, who was, a former NFL wide receiver of note and a guy who was on, how about this? Ed McCaffrey was on the 49ers' last Super Bowl championship team. And Christian McCaffrey, if I'm right, is going to be on the next 49ers Super Bowl team. This guy was spectacular in high school. He was the Colorado Gatorade High School Player of the Year. He set state records in scoring, touchdowns, all-purpose yards. He went to Stanford. The only guy who stopped him when he was at Stanford is our good friend David Shaw, who kept him out of the lineup as a rookie for Stephon Taylor or somebody or I forget who, it might have been Gaffney. I forget who exactly played a lot when Christian was a freshman.
He was probably pretty good. I'll give David Shaw that credit. He was probably getting a lot of production out of an upperclassman, and you reward your upperclassman.
And Dave's my friend, and I love Dave, and I think the world of him. I'm just joking, of course. But, yeah, this guy is Christian McCaffrey something. He can run by you. He can run over you. And there was a play early in the game where he hit the hole. The Cardinal backer, I think he was Ezekiel Turner, stepped into the hole, and McCaffrey just banged heads with him. And Ezekiel Turner, I think, grabbed his face mask like 4 times on the day. I think he might have been called for 1 or 2. But, man, it was like Ezekiel Turner highway yesterday. He was just running right over Ezekiel Turner. And I'll tell you, Damon, while everybody is bringing notebooks to camp and writing down every little minutia, well, guess what happens when you're writing? You're looking down, and you're not looking up. And so, if you ever see scouts they rarely sit there with a pen. They're watching. They like to watch the whole thing. And what you got out of what you should have taken away from the 49ers offseason wasn't, 4-yard out from Darnold to McCaffrey, incomplete, a 7-yard curl from Lance to, JP Mason, complete. You're writing all this stuff down. What you should have taken was back away and get the macro. And the macro on minicamp was Christian McCaffrey reminded me of Jerry Rice. I went all those years to Rockland and sweated and watched Jerry Rice, run out every pattern 40 yards down the field. Watch Roger Craig run every run and continue 40 yards down the field in 110 degrees in Rockland. And that's what Christian McCaffrey did in minicamp. Everybody else was at like minicamp speed. McCaffrey was like, I'm taking this thing 30, 40 yards down the field. After a couple practices like that, some of the D linemen started running with him down the field. And you're watching Spencer Wagee and these guys chasing this guy 40 yards down the field. He was a tone setter. He set the tone for the entire franchise in minicamp of how hard we're going to work. This is what I'm bringing. What are you bringing? And when he's not when you're in that locker room, you never even notice him. He's not a big guy. He's not a loud guy, but he's got the respect of every man in that room because he basically, he could have essentially by the way he practiced in May and June, it was like he was screaming, "This is the level I'm playing at. Can you meet my level?"
Right. Look,
and
great
and he's a leader, man. He's a true leader.
Great outworks good. Great outworks good. And the last guy in the NBA who, when practice is over, needs to get up 500 corner threes is Steph Curry. But he'll go over there and he'll put up 1,000 of them. It's just an absurd level of dedication to the craft that you'd think this guy's officially earned the right to not have to work that hard. Like he's so established. He doesn't have to be out here trying to be a practice All-American. No, that's who he is. And the results are stunning. His video game touchdown that capped that 9-play, 75-yard drive for the offense's second touchdown in as many drives yesterday, Larry, his 18-yard leaping run over
Keitrell. Yeah, you hurdled him.
Dude, and I want you to, if you can see the replay where they get you with the overhead spider cam, so you're behind the play, you're watching McCaffrey run away from you towards the end zone. And after he leaps over Clark gets up and he's the human shrug emoji. Like he's got both hands, palms straight up in the air.
Right.
Going, what the hell was that? Like I was, my shoulder pads were right in that guy's hips. And then he just leapt over me. I mean, it was
special. And you know what that was, by the way? Because I went into the locker room after the game, and I forget who told it to me, but somebody told me, one of the players said, I said, how about Christian hurdling Clark? And I think it was Willie Snead. And Willie's like, that was all film study. He had noticed during the week that the Cardinal DBs were going low.
They sell out going low.
They sell out going low and uncontrolled. They weren't rapping. They were firing their bodies low, trying to just just knock you off your pins, as they say. And McCaffrey noticed it, expected it, anticipated it, and then hurdled the guy. But, I mean, Christian's special, man. Anybody who saw him against Iowa in the Rose Bowl a few years ago, coming out of Stanford, he owned that day. He's just got a very smooth stride. He chops his feet. He can cut on a dime. He can change direction. He's got really, really good vision. He sees the creases. He protects the football in traffic. He's great. He's ideally suited for this offense because he can read his keys on the stretch plays as well as almost any back in the league. You'll see him sink his hips into really sharp cuts. The motor is unbelievable. He does not dance. He gets downhill. And the feet just never stop churning, man. He just never stops moving those feet. He can make a defender miss on any level. He's a special player. He's got multiple gears. He's got experience in all different formations. You can use him in a 2-back. You can use him in a 1-back. You can use him offset. You can flex him out. He's got excellent hands. You can throw it to him out of the slot. He's got unbelievable quickness out of the break. The Niners don't use him on special teams, but he's a very good punt returner. He's a very good kick returner. I mean, the guy's a hell of a player. The Niners should have taken him with the pick that they used on Solomon Thomas. They probably should have traded back a couple spots in that draft and taken McCaffrey, but instead they went with Solly, and the trade. The other thing, Kawakami asked Kyle yesterday in the postgame. He's like, was there a chance that you weren't going to get him? Yeah, Tim, there was a very good chance because the Rams wanted him too. And the Rams were offering quite a bit. So they had to outbid the Rams to get him from Carolina. There was a chance he was going to be an LA Ram. Instead, he became a Niner, and 2 weeks later had that amazing game that beat the Rams. And believe me, that might have been, I know I don't want to put too much on this, but we all see things as they are. But if you go back to that season and that trade deadline, that was John Lynch made an executive of the year kind of a move there. The Niners played the Rams, and they were dinged up. They needed McCaffrey to be a huge part of their offense in that game. If the Rams get McCaffrey, the Rams probably win that game. What people forget is the Niners needed every win at that point, including a win against the Rams in the final week of the year to just get into the playoffs. So you could make an argument if Lynch doesn't pull the trigger on that trade, they don't wind up beating the Rams in the head-to-head game. They wind up losing to the Rams, and they don't make the playoffs. And there's all kinds of pressure from the fans and probably owners on Kyle and John. Instead, he makes that trade. He gets this foundation piece. They beat the Rams. They make the playoffs. And now he's a key cog on a Super Bowl favorite.
Look, it's going to go down as one of the single biggest trades in the history of Bay Area sports. If this team wins the Super Bowl, Christian McCaffrey is going to be right in the middle of that team photo, and therefore this is one of the biggest trades in the history of the Bay Area, much less just the 49ers. Since he has shown up, the 49ers have gone from good to great. That's it. The 49ers have gone from good to great, and the only thing that they haven't done was win a Super Bowl. That's it. That's the only box that they have yet to check in this Kyle Shanahan era with Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy. The only thing they have not done is win a Super Bowl, and you only get one chance a year to do that. So we're not going to really hold it against them, although some people like to hold it over them as if it's a shameful act. Oh, you haven't won a Super Bowl. Guess what? Most people in this league haven't won a Super Bowl. It's hard to do. The 49ers are in that rare space where they're making it look easy. And one of the reasons why it looks easy is because of this guy. And I'll tell you, as excited as every Niner fan should be right now, Larry, as excited as you and I are to cover all of this, should Christian McCaffrey at any point in time this year go down with a season-ending injury, good night. That's it. That's how important he is. That's how important he is.
I don't know if their season would be done, but they are not the same team without him.
They're not the same. Everything that you're counting on now as this is who the Niners are changes dramatically. Their DNA changes dramatically with him. Therefore, it changes dramatically without him. 177 yards from scrimmage and 4 touchdowns. It's a great day in football. If you have a 2-touchdown afternoon, you had a monster day in the NFL. He had 4 yesterday. We're going to get used to McCaffrey multiple touchdown games the same way we get used to, Steph Curry hit 10 threes in a game again. Oh, well, he does that,